scheduled for. Okay, welcome everybody. For those that'll be watching this live stream, we are live with Carter Libis. I hope you guys enjoy this live stream. You will learn a lot. If you don't know about wholesaling, you're gonna get to know about wholesaling today from somebody who's actually done it, who's actually had success, who's 9 times out of 10 younger than 95% of the people that are actually watching this stream. Okay, so. With that being said, Carter, can you kind of just introduce yourself as far as growing
Yeah.
up? Did you think that you would be into wholesaling, or is this something that just you kind of seen one day on social media?
Yeah. So, like you said, I'm 19. I'm actually from South Dakota. My family moved here to Arizona a few years ago. And that was actually my main goal, during high school, kind of growing up was to play college golf. That was kind of my main goal.
Okay.
Came to the high school here, had a lot of success. Actually got a scholarship offer to go play down at a school in Phoenix.
Mm-hmm.
And then I committed and everything, and I was ready to go. And then COVID hit, and my mind kind of shifted quite a bit. So I kind of shifted towards the real estate side. My dad's in real estate,
Okay.
and I kind of wanted to find a way to get into it, without having much money, because I didn't. So I found wholesaling, kind of a way to kind of do your own thing. You don't need a lot of money, you just need to make a lot of calls, talk
Right.
to a lot of people. And I got into that. I watched so many YouTube videos, a lot, kind of like went into a whole YouTube university type thing, my
Yep.
own little education there, learned a bunch and just jumped right into it. And I just kind of been calling on my own, ever since.
So, how long were you watching YouTube before you actually said that you were actually going to start doing it?
Yeah. So it was, the main thing with me, and I'm so glad I did it, was I jumped in right away. I didn't wait to learn everything like some
Yep.
people, they just want to learn everything before they go. And, all honesty, you learn as you go. So
Right.
I jumped right into it. I started making calls right away. But obviously, a lot of those nights where normally I play like video games or something, I was watching a lot of YouTube videos. It was really weird. I just got into a whole different mindset about this, and I really went all in. Even as I was making my calls, I was still watching YouTube videos, just learning, following those that are doing, much better than I am.
Right.
But the main thing I did was just take action right away.
Okay. So, when you had got your first deal, how big of a list were you calling at that time to get your
Yeah,
first?
so my first deal, and any of you guys can do this, you just kind of jumping into it, is go, find a local realtor in your town, and just ask them for like a pre-foreclosure list. And obviously this was before COVID, so they're giving, the banks are giving a lot of forbearances on foreclosures and stuff like that right now, so the list might be small.
Right.
But when I asked for it, there was probably about like 80 to 100 addresses on there, not very big at all. But I started hand dialing them, and I got a lead down in Camp Verde, like an hour and a half away, just a little mobile home.
Yep.
It was a really messy deal. I learned a lot. But it was my first deal. I think I locked it up first off for like 110. Ended up, going down there. Buyers didn't want it at all. I got it locked up way too high. Ended up having to renegotiate down to like 95,
Right.
and then selling it for like 98 to a local guy down there. But the first list was a pre-foreclosure list, and you can go to your realtor, any realtor in town. They should be able to give it to you. Just a normal pre-foreclosure list.
Okay. So that deal right there, that was your first list.
Yes. Yep. Yeah,
So
I kind of got lucky.
so how did you go about finding a buyer for your deal?
Yeah, so what I did was when I got the deal under contract, I obviously didn't have any buyers, really any. I went and I put it on Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist. Those are kind of the two main places that I put it on, and I actually ended up selling it off Craigslist. It was a local buyer, local investor in Camp Verde, saw the posting. He called my number that I put on there, and he said he was interested. So I met him down there. We kind of walked through it, and obviously he didn't want it right away either until I renegotiated down to 95, and then barely squeezed out the 98. But it ended up being a really good situation because, it was just a young family. They're going through foreclosure. Their house is about to get foreclosed on. And me, I think I was 18 at the time, kind of came in and was just trying to help them out. And ended up, luckily I did. They owed 90 on the property, and I locked it up for 95. So it was very thin, but it was much better than them getting foreclosed on. I mean, that's on their record for a long time. So I'm more proud of the help that I did. I was able to kind of get them out of that little pinch that they were in.
So, how long would you say until like you knew that, okay, this is a real thing? I think I can really, start to like make a lot of money from this,
Yeah. Well, I think it was that first deal, when I finally got it closed. And the title company, wired me that $3,000, which, isn't a huge amount, but it was a lot, for my age and for where I was. But it wasn't even the money. It was the fact that I was getting paid, that much money for what I just did. So I'm like, I definitely can do this again. I learned more. I'm definitely going to be able to do better the next time. But the first deal, and I think anybody's first deal, once they get paid, they're like, wow, this business works. You just got to kind of stay consistent on it.
So since you started, what would you say, what has been your biggest deal since you started? Like, how long did it take for you to get that really big deal
Yeah. Yeah. So my second deal was very, very large. Well, larger than the first one. It was actually a fourplex, an apartment building here in town where I live. And that one was a lot of follow-up. And I think the main thing with wholesaling too is just make sure you guys are following up.
Right.
When they say no or they're not interested, put them on a maybe list and follow up in a month or two. Because people's lives change really fast. I mean, our lives change really fast, just the way it is. So I really followed up with these people. They didn't really want to sell to me at a price that I wanted. I was offering like 450. That was like my second deal. It was a long time ago. It's probably like 450 or so, or 430, maybe around there. And they really just weren't interested. So I kind of gave them a call every couple days, just seeing maybe if they changed their mind a little bit. And we ended up agreeing like at 430, I believe. And I was able to sell that one for 450. So it was a $20,000 deal. That was huge because it was my second deal. I was actually still working at the golf course here in town. So seeing that get into my account was crazy. And, the first deal showed me it worked. The second deal was like, whoa, like, I think I can make a lot of money doing this. So, yeah.
So when you made that 430, how much earnest money did they have you put down on that property?
Yeah. So the thing is, I've never put earnest money down before yet.
Oh, see, that's amazing.
Yeah. So people think like, oh, you need money. Like, no, you really actually don't. I haven't put any earnest money down. And even if you can too, you can put $200-300. I always put it in the contract, but the title company never really asked for it because I always try to get it assigned, right there and pretty quick. But yeah, I mean, $200, $100 earnest money can be kind of whatever you want it to be. But I didn't have to put any down for that specific deal.
So for those that are watching, right? Well, I'm actually say that after this. So how much a month are you spending on your business?
Yeah. So each month, I think my expenses are pretty low. I'll kind of go through it with you guys. I have a dialer. I use Mojo Dialer. I pay about $150 a month for that. I have PropStream, which is it's a really cool tool. It's about 97 bucks a month. It's like a kind of like an off-market MLS where you can search any property on there and find a ton of info. I really like to get comps off that website. That's about 90 bucks a month. In total, I'm probably paying around $500 to $600 a month. I think I had it around $4 to $5 grand a year. as expenses, and that's just my subscriptions. Skip tracing is probably another 2 to 3 thousand a year, so probably around 7 to 8 thousand a year is my expenses.
Okay, so you said 7 to 8 thousand a year, right? So what does a yearly income look like for you?
Yeah, so the first year, I kind of started midway into 2020, since it was kind of COVID. I didn't close my first deal till like June of 2020. But I guess for the tax year of 2020, and I started in June, was around 71,000. And then this past year was around, I think it was around 180, 170 to 180 was this year. I mean, that just ended. So it was a crazy year. It was a good year. I had a few big deals there. Kind of to end it. I actually did my first fix and flip in 2021, which was a great deal.
Okay, so the reason I say that is because so if you made, let's say at first you made about 70,000 in your first like 6 7 months, um, he said his expenses are about 8,000 total for a year, 7 8,000. So now if you can take that to the, I believe you said about 180,000 for the second year, following year.
Yep.
So if you do that math again, if you're spending 8,000, that's a great investment. All right,
Yes.
so that's like investing 8,000 into something in the same year you're getting out 180,000. You can't beat that. So I feel like wholesaling is the fastest way to financial freedom. A lot of other people do as well,
Yeah.
because it's like, how can you start into something else with such a low investment and then build your way up to that point so fast? And I feel like, yeah.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh yeah, I feel like a lot of people that know about wholesaling, we know about wholesaling, but there's a lot of people like young that have no idea of it. They think that you gotta accumulate so much money, then buy a property or hope to get a loan for the property. They don't know that, you can just get properties under contract and,
Yeah.
help a seller and a buyer and then get paid for your time.
Exactly. I think most people don't understand that. But wholesaling, it really is like hitting the lottery in an aspect, because really all you're doing is you're flipping a piece of paper, is
Right.
kind of what wholesaling is. You go in, you're owning the rights to the agreement, right? Like, I agree to buy this house for 100,000. You own that right to the agreement. And then, you find a Bob who's doing fix and flips, you sell that for 120. The seller still gets their 100. The end buyer pays the 120, then the difference goes to you, which would be 20. So I think it's a really simple business that I don't think people quite understand. Like you said, they probably think you need a bunch of money. But the only money spent is trying to get the contacts and the addresses of the potential leads that you can get. And I think one of the cheapest ways is to go around in your local neighborhood, city, whatever, and just drive around and just try to find like the junkiest houses, tall grass, maybe the mail's stacked up, there's garbage in the yard,
Yep.
the shingles are falling off, who knows? Houses that really look old and abandoned, write the addresses down. You can find numbers for addresses, with True People Search or, any website. So go home, get an address, get all the addresses on a piece of paper and find the number and start calling them. And that does not take much money at all. Maybe some gas money or something. But wholesaling is super simple. It's just all about finding the deals. And that's all what it comes down to. And that's why you got to stay consistent with it.
Exactly. So for somebody with let's say they only have $500 to their name right now.
Yeah.
They might have a job or they might not. But what would you recommend for somebody with only $500 to their name in order to get success in wholesaling?
Yeah. So let's say you have $500. First off, I would go to listsource.com and I would just pull like an absentee owned list in your town. So absentee owned is people that might have second homes. Maybe it's their rental, places they go to on the weekends, just places that they don't primary reside there. They don't primary live there. I would pull a list like that and get it skip traced. And that's the most expensive thing, is just trying to get the numbers back. So use that $500 however big the list is, get the phone numbers back and just start calling. That's really what it is. And if you can pay for maybe a month of the dialer, maybe that's all you need, maybe $150 for a dialer or whatever. You can go in and just get the phone numbers is the first thing. Go pull lists, get the phone numbers, and just start calling them. I think that's the main thing. Just as long as you can talk to people each and every day, new homeowners each and every day, every no, I mean, it's going to get you closer to that one yes. And, that one yes could be 20, 50, I mean, even 100,000
Right.
In your account, in the next 30 days. And that's really, I think, what got me into wholesaling right away was like seeing those YouTube videos, seeing those people make that kind of money. I was like, wow, like
Right.
I could find someone willing to sell tomorrow. And that it's just the money that you can make in this business is truly amazing, and just by myself, I'm making some good money. But even forming a little business with this wholesaling, the sky really is the limit for, the income on it.
Exactly. So as far as, you said you watch YouTube videos, who would you recommend for the people watching to watch? Who would you say you learn from? Even yourself, who would you say is the top 3 people that you would recommend for them to watch on YouTube?
Yeah, so I think the top 3 people definitely, no order or anything, but Brent Daniels. I don't know if you guys heard of him.
Yeah.
He's kind of Mr. TTP, talk to people. I'm actually joined his mentorship about, a little over a year ago, and that kind of got me, rolling. I think I joined that after my first deal.
Yep.
But Brent Daniels, TTP, he's super loud. He's like very informative. Definitely go check him out on YouTube. He's always posting stuff. Max Maxwell, he's a wholesaler out of North Carolina. Super, like he's doing a bunch of deals. He's super good. I watched a bunch of his. And Jerry Norton, he kind of does all things real estate, but he has some very, very just like simple, basic wholesaling videos. He's mainly in wholesaling. He's kind of wholesaling and flipping over on his channel, but he's consistent with uploading new information. But those 3 guys, they keep it simple. They really keep it simple. And, I'm not the smartest guy. I don't like to be like bombarded with different type of things. Then I just don't do it if I just get bombarded with it.
Right.
So those guys really keep it simple. They make it easy, kind of slowly get into the whole wholesaling thing. But the whole fact, it's simple, and you just kind of got to get started. But Jerry Norton, Max Maxwell, and Brent Daniels, I definitely recommend go checking them out. And I do have a YouTube too. I haven't posted in a while, but it's my name, Carter Libis. I posted a few videos, just kind of simple stuff. If you want to go check that out too.
Yeah, so that's why I have watched videos on your channel. I'm really into smaller channels because there's people that make a lot of money, and I feel like they actually give more information than the big time people. I feel like the big time people give out a lot, but those that don't really have a name that people don't know about, I feel like that's where the most gems be. I watch a lot of people. Have you ever heard of Flip with Rick?
Flip with Rick? I think I'm not sure actually.
They're I think he's about 22 years old now. I think he makes $1 million plus a year. Well, I know he makes $1 million plus a year, but it's him and his dad's business. They're out in Florida, but yeah, they have a pretty good channel. They upload every single day. But I wanted to ask you a question. So, how many people would you say you called all together if you had to put a number right now? And how much money have you made all together right now? So we can compare the amount of calls to the amount of profit that was made.
Yeah, so I think I did a YouTube video where I kind of broke it down. But right now I've probably made around 80 to 90,000 calls. I think I've talked to probably around like probably have had like 6,000 probably 5,000 conversations with homeowners roughly. This is kind of a guess, but I know it's in there. So probably like 80,000 calls, probably like 5,000 conversations with homeowners. And then total, it's all been around 250,000 so far.
Right, guys. So if you see that math that he just said, he's probably made around 80 to 90,000 calls, but he only actually spoke to about 5,000 to 6,000 sellers, which can get you that amount of income. Yep. So it's like, if you're willing to put the work in, you're going to get it. People get up every day. They work 8 hours a day, at least 5 days a week. if you put that same amount of time into wholesaling, you would be extremely successful, like beyond what you could ever think, you know? So,
Yeah, and on that kind of subject, kind of working. And I've, really my thing is I try to make at least like 2 to 3 hours, at least 2 to 3 hours of calls each day, and compared to someone that works 9 to 5, after my calls, I'm not doing a whole bunch in the whole wholesaling business, besides maybe later that night, I'll pull a list to start fresh for tomorrow. But all I'm doing right now is making phone calls. So 3 hours a day, 5, 6 days a week, compared to someone that's, working 9 to 5, making 50, 60,000 a year, than the income that you could make on wholesaling. Your price per hour is, I think, huge. And I think I calculated this in my first year. I think I got paid around $900 every hour I called, which is crazy. So, and
right.
that was a big thing with Brent Daniels on the TTP thing is you have to imagine like someone is literally handing you $1,000 every hour that you are making calls. And if you can kind of get that in your brain, like, okay, that's an hour, got to keep going, or that's another $1,000 before you find that next deal. It really is true. Because every hour that you put in is just getting closer to that deal, which could be of any size.
Literally, yeah.
So I think that's the thing with wholesaling. I mean, it's the money there. It really can just be however big you want it to be, as long as you just stay consistent, jump in, even when you don't know everything. You got to find that one seller that just kind of wants out and he wants to sell his property.
Exactly. So, what do you have like? You young, you 19. So, what do you have like planned for the future now? Like, are you now gonna get into the game of just buying property and flipping it? Or will you still keep wholesaling in that, or what do you have planned?
Yeah. So this year, I got it written up here too. I want to get at least one cash flowing property this year. So a rental. And I think I can find that. The prices here in Prescott, Arizona, I guess, are really high. I think the market's kind of hot everywhere right now. But the good thing about this wholesaling thing is, you find opportunities, kind of whatever you want to do. Then you can pick and choose what you do with the property,
Right.
right? So this year, I definitely want to buy and hold one, keep one as a rental, rent it out for some, monthly income. That's my ultimate goal, is just to have a lot of properties, rentals, apartment units, complexes, that, produce enough cash flow where I can just, kind of chill throughout the day, play some golf, lift a little bit, and, not worry about too much. But I definitely, the good ones, the real good deals, I wanna fix and flip them. I think that's where you can kind of maximize, the profit. Because this past year, um, I actually did my first fix and flip. It was a deal kind of too good to be true. I actually told my dad about it, and he was like, "Wow, I think we can make a bunch of money on this." So we took it down together. We split the profits 50-50. I funded a lot of the repair costs. He did a lot of work himself. He's a handyman himself. Um, and we ended up like I locked it up for 170. We put about 20-30 grand in it. We ended up selling it for like 330. After splitting it, we each made like 60 on it, which
Right. That is crazy. Did y'all just hear what he said? They
it was
just
just unreal.
even splitting it, they made a profit of 60,000 a piece. That's out of this world crazy. Like off
Yeah,
one property,
off
So
one little phone call. It was just an older guy. I actually caught him at a perfect time. He was just about to move down to, southern Arizona. And yeah, he was ready to sell. He had his number in mind. That was 170. I mean, I knew it was well below. And before we actually decided to take it down, I was offered 225 for it, um, as just a quick wholesale. So that would have been 55 thousand. I mean, as just a wholesale, which would have been
right,
crazy. Um,
exactly.
but I kind of looked at it like, okay, well, kind of, me and my dad could both make, around 60 on it. So this would be really cool. But yeah, definitely this year I want to start doing flips on my own. Maybe, I mean, just think of that. If I would have just flipped that by myself, that would have been like 120 grand on a quick little flip, do a couple of those a year and you're set.
Yep.
But just, doing a couple flips, keeping the real good ones, the good properties as some rentals, you kind of wholesale the others. It's a real good business. You just got to stay on the phones and keep talking with other sellers. But that's my goal for this year. Is definitely my main goal is to buy one to hold, and keep kind of as a long-term rental.
Okay, so you would say that wholesaling has, brought you financial freedom in your life.
Yeah.
Okay, so, I believe, the most important thing that we have, in our lifetime is time itself. And, we spend a lot of time, like, those who work 9 to 5, some work it all the way into their 60, 65 and get retirement when it's kind of really late in their life to really enjoy things.
Yeah.
So do you believe that wholesaling gives you the time on your hands to just do what you want to do, whether you want to do a flip, go to the gym, go work out, watch a movie? You can choose to do what you want to do with your time.
Yes. I think that's what we all want, right? Is this for freedom, financial freedom, kind of do what you want. I think that's what we're all striving for.
Right.
So I think wholesaling is one of the best ways. Like I said, if you can just even time block, even if you're working a job right now, let's say a 9 to 5 job, find even 20 minutes, 30 minutes to an hour just to hammer out some calls. Because literally it all it takes is one deal for 40, 50,000. I mean, and you just made, your whole work salary.
Yep.
So I think wholesaling, it's got to be one of the fastest ways to financial freedom. I think it is. And wholesaling is getting bigger now. I think, these past couple years, but still not a lot of people know about it. Like you said, in your state there, not a lot of people know about it. So I think there's so much opportunity, just with wholesaling. I think it definitely is, the fastest way to financial freedom. I mean, I'm 19. I'm not the brightest kid, making over, $200,000. It's crazy. And that's all just from a little talking on the phone. I think God blessed me with, the ability to talk to people, but it's nothing. You guys can learn how to do that on yourselves, but it really is crazy. I mean, just kind of looking back and thinking about everything. It really is a crazy business that anybody, any age can do, even if you're older,
Yep.
when you're looking to retire quicker. I think wholesaling, it's for anybody.
Okay. Well, those are the questions that I have for you today. Maybe we'll get a part 2 in about a few months. We'll see you back on here, but I wanted to bring you on because I'm from, Pennsylvania, and there's people wholesale all over the state, but in my specific city, I don't think much people know about it at all. And I just wanted to kind of bring this to their attention that, there's more possibilities out there because people seem like there's nothing really much for people to do. So they might fall into trouble or they might go down the wrong path because they don't know that there's other exits out there that they can have,
Exactly.
to, again, give them that financial freedom. So, Carter, can you let them know your Instagram and where they can find you?
Yeah, so it's just my name there, Carter Libis. Just search me on Instagram. I think it's Carter_Libis or something. Same on Twitter. I even got a little YouTube channel too, if you want to check it out. It's just my name, Carter Libis. You guys can DM me. I'm definitely willing to help try to share this whole business. I've been a little bit quieter on the whole social medias and stuff. But if you guys got a question,
Yeah,
reach out to me.
not to interrupt you, but I thought that was impressive. I was like, I don't see much on this, but he's made a lot of money. That's like, and as you guys can see, he's pretty humble. Like, like imagine another, someone else that's 19 years old, they would be having the time of their life. Not saying he's not, but he's having it in real life, the time of his life, not, on social media really, which he has one, but
Yeah,
someone with that type of money at that age, I can see them really, showing it off, like.
yeah. I did do one thing though. I think this is kind of the only big purchase I made was the Phoenix Suns made the NBA Finals last year. Down in Phoenix, which is only about an hour and a half away. But
Mhm.
I surprised my dad with tickets to the game 5 of the finals. So I thought that was pretty cool to be able to do. He's a big sports guy too, so that was a really cool experience for me and him. But yeah, that's kind of the only real money I've been spending. But when you're my age, I think this is the time when you're young and you're hungry, is to really kind of buckle down and grind it out. Don't be flashing. Don't be, spending all that money. Save it up, or put it to work. Try to put it to work as early as you can, so you can really, really, really live it up in your, 30s, 20s,
Exactly.
late
Exactly.
20s. But use this your young mind, young body, just a bunch of energy, just to kind of go out there and just grind. And you don't got to be all flashy on social media, because I know this is kind of the world that's turning into, is everything's, it's got to be shown on social media, which I don't really like that. That's why I kind of got off it for a little bit. But
Yep.
just kind of grind and do it for yourself. Don't do it to show it off. Do it for yourself. Do it for your family. And try to leave a legacy when you're gone. And I think that's the main thing.
My last question I have for you is, do you have a lot of friends?
Yeah. Me moving, I left South Dakota a couple years ago. That's kind of where I was born and raised, in a little town of 800 people. And that's where a lot of my buddies are at. But the main thing here is I do have a few friends here, some really good friends. But right when I moved here, I didn't really I started high school, and then COVID hit. It was kind of a really awkward year. Then I just kind of buckled down on the whole wholesaling thing. But yeah, I definitely met some good people here now in Arizona that I can hang out with. But it was a big change, leaving all my buddies and friends and family back in South Dakota, to come here. But I couldn't think of any, better decision that as a family that we could have made. So yeah.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you coming on today. Like I
Thanks
said,
for having me on, man.
hopefully, in a few more months, we'll have you back on here, see how your journey is going. And, hopefully we have other people who can come on here and tell their story as well.
Yeah.
And, say that they've been inspired by this interview right here. So, I appreciate you coming on. And, hope you enjoy your day along with everybody else.
You too, man. Yeah, if you guys hit me up on Instagram or something, I'd love to have you out. But thanks for having me on.
All right. Appreciate it, man. We'll talk soon.
All right.
All right.